Why do I abandon myself for other people? That question may sound painful, but maybe it explains many things. Maybe it explains why you keep choosing people who hurt you. Maybe it explains why you feel guilty when you choose yourself. Maybe it explains why you always feel responsible for everyone else's emotions, problems, and pain. On the surface, these may look like three different problems: relationships, guilt, responsibility. But underneath, there may be one deeper question: when did I learn to leave myself behind? Because self abandonment does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like saying yes when everything inside you wants to say no. Sometimes it looks like staying in a relationship where you are not respected. Sometimes it looks like carrying everyone else while no one asks how you are. Sometimes it looks like being useful, available, kind, strong, and understanding, while quietly disappearing inside. And the hardest part is that many people don't even notice they are abandoning themselves because they call it love, they call it loyalty, they call it being a good person, they call it responsibility. But love that requires you to disappear is not love in its healthiest form. And responsibility that destroys you is not balance. So maybe today the question is not only, why do they hurt me? Why do I feel guilty? Why do I carry everyone? Maybe the deeper question is, why do I keep leaving myself in order to be loved, accepted, needed, or chosen? And that is where healing can begin. Not by blaming yourself, not by judging your past, but by looking honestly at the patterns that taught you to put yourself last. Sometimes we abandon ourselves by choosing people who hurt us, and that can be confusing, because nobody wakes up and says, I want to suffer, I want to be rejected, I want to feel anxious, unseen, or not enough. But sometimes the heart does not choose what is good, it chooses what feels familiar. Maybe, somewhere in your story, love became connected with waiting. Waiting for attention, waiting for affection, waiting for someone to change, waiting for someone to finally choose you. And when love and waiting become connected, a calm relationship may feel strange. A respectful person may feel unfamiliar. Someone emotionally available may even feel boring. But someone distant, confusing, intense, or inconsistent, that person may awaken something old. And a part of you says, I know this place. I know this feeling. Maybe this time I can make it work. But that is where the danger is, because sometimes we are not really choosing the person. We are choosing the chance to repair an old wound. We want the person who hurts us to become the person who finally heals us. We want the one who makes us feel small to finally say, you matter. I see you. I choose you. But healing begins when you understand this. The person who awakens the wound is not always capable of healing it. Sometimes they only repeat the pattern. And maybe your work is not to convince someone to love you better. Maybe your work is to stop abandoning yourself in order to be chosen. Because familiar does not always mean safe. Intensity does not always mean love. Anxiety does not always mean connection. And suffering should not be the price you pay to belong in someone's life. So ask yourself, do I feel loved here? Or do I feel activated? Do I feel safe here? Or do I feel like I have to earn my place? Those questions can wake you up, because real love should not require you to betray yourself. Another way we abandon ourselves is through guilt. Maybe you finally choose yourself, you say no, you take distance, you stop answering immediately, you make a decision that protects your peace, and instead of feeling free, you feel guilty. You start thinking, am I selfish? Did I hurt them? Should I explain myself again? Maybe I should just go back to how things were. But listen carefully. Feeling guilty does not always mean you did something wrong. Sometimes guilt appears when you do something new, especially if for a long time your role was to please others, to keep the peace, to be available, to understand everyone, to avoid conflict, to make sure nobody was disappointed. Maybe you learned that being loved meant being easy, being quiet, being useful, being the one who does not ask for too much. So when you finally choose yourself, your nervous system reacts as if you are breaking a rule. But maybe the rule was never healthy. Maybe the rule was don't disappoint anyone, don't have needs, don't create discomfort, don't choose yourself if someone else wants something from you. And maybe for many years you confused love with self-erasure. But choosing yourself does not mean you stopped loving others. It means you finally included yourself in the love you give. That is not selfish. That is balance. Of course, some people may not like your boundaries, especially if they benefited from you having none. Some people may say you changed. Some may say you are cold. Some may try to make you feel guilty. But maybe you are not cold. Maybe you are clear. Maybe you did not become selfish. Maybe you return to yourself. So the next time guilt appears, pause. Do not run back immediately. Ask yourself, did I do something wrong or did I just do something different? Because sometimes guilt is not a warning. Sometimes guilt is the sound of an old pattern losing power. And maybe that discomfort is not proof that you should go back. Maybe it is proof that you are finally growing. And then there is another way we abandon ourselves. We carry everyone, their emotions, their problems, their sadness, their anger, their future, their choices. Maybe you are the strong one, the helper, the fixer, the one everyone calls, the one who listens, the one who always understands. And people may admire you for that. They may say, you are so strong, you are so good, you are always there. But inside you may feel exhausted because being strong all the time can become another kind of loneliness. Sometimes we become responsible for everyone because at some point we had to grow up too fast. Maybe you had to take care of someone emotionally. Maybe you had to calm conflict. Maybe you had to protect others. Maybe you learned to notice everyone's mood before noticing your own. And when that becomes your place, you may carry things that were never yours. But helping is love. Carrying everyone is not. Supporting someone is beautiful. Living their life for them is too much. Some burdens are heavy because they were never yours to carry. You can love people without disappearing into their pain. You can care without becoming the sacrifice. You can be present without losing yourself. Maybe one of the most healing sentences is, I see your pain, but I cannot live your life for you. That is not rejection, that is respect, respect for them, and respect for yourself. So maybe today, the invitation is simple. Come back to yourself, come back from the relationships where you had to beg, come back from the guilt that told you your needs were wrong, come back from the burdens that never belonged to you. You are allowed to love others without abandoning yourself. You are allowed to care without caring everything. You are allowed to choose yourself and still have a good heart. So ask yourself, where do I abandon myself the most? In relationships, in family, at work, when I try to keep everyone else okay? Write it in the comments. Maybe your words will help someone else feel less alone. And maybe today, for the first time in a long time, you can begin to say, I am here too. My life matters too. My heart matters too. I don't have to disappear to be loved.